Good morning, guys. It's Chris from St. Rose. So happy Thursday morning here from the office. I hope you all are doing well. Just want to continue a reflection on mercy, which is what we are talking about this Lent here at St. Rose. We've been talking a lot about what mercy is and what it isn't, and now I really want to look at okay, that's great, but how do we have mercy in our own lives? And I think one of the really important ways to begin to be a more merciful person is to really work on the virtue of humility. Now, when we hear humility in this culture, I think often we're told that means that you're going to kind of lay down and let everybody step on you. And that's actually not what humility is at all. So, by definition, humility is knowing exactly who you are in the eyes of God. It's the perfect balance of loving yourself and loving other people. So, what does that look like? Well, it sits between two vices because it's a virtue. So, on one side, you have pride, and on the other side, you have self hatred or self loathing. So, pride would be liking yourself too much, and I think, as I'm sure you all are aware, that most of our world struggles with that one in spades, myself included. But there's also self-loathing. A lot of people suffer from self-hatred, and they don't like themselves enough. They believe that they are somehow broken and unfixable, and that's completely not the truth. The truth is that God loves us because He created us as His sons and daughters. The Gospel of Luke today, today's Gospel reading, has Jesus driving out a demon out of a man who's mute, so he can't talk. So this happens, and the man starts to speak. Cool story, huh? Here's the important part. It happens right afterwards that the crowd starts to get starts arguing with one another about why Jesus did this, and some of them say, "Oh, he did it because he Jesus is possessed by the devil," and others say, "Well, that's great, but show us a sign from heaven if you are really God's son." And the gospel says that Jesus knew what they were thinking, so because he knew what they were thinking, he turned on them and said that a house dividing itself against itself um, cannot stand. And uh, the important part to really take away from that is that truth, that a house divided itself against itself cannot stand, is not just him talking about that he's not possessed by a demon, because if he was, he wouldn't be able to do what he just did. But it's more of that they're arguing with one another. They all have these ideas that they have the inside knowledge about who Jesus is. And in reality, they're getting it all wrong, but they're letting their pride get in the way. And that's really what he's trying to strike at when he says that. If you want to work on humility this week to be a more merciful person, my best suggestion for you is to really to dive into the Lenten practices and promises that we all took at Ash Wednesday. So you gave something up for Lent. For me, I gave up going out to eat. So if I'm with a friend or if I'm at a meeting, that's fine. But if I'm on my way home from work and I don't feel like cooking, that's not a valid excuse for me this Lent to go to Wawa, which is my love. I love me some Wawa. And of course, like most other people, I'm not going to lie, I have absolutely dropped my Lenten promise from time to time already, and we're only halfway through. Pick it back up. Pick up whatever you're doing, recommit to it. And the church has three great ways to really work on your humility: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. So, real quick, prayer, go before God in prayer this week and say, "Who am I? In your eyes, who am I?" And if you have that person that you struggle forgiving, you struggle being merciful with, that person you're just really angry with and you can't seem to let it go, bring them into your mind after you ask God who you are and say, "Who are they?" You'll be surprised at the answer. It's probably very similar because you're both created by God and He loves you both. That's where true humility comes in, is understanding that we are all children of God the Father, and thus we can't be divided from one another. Um, Fasting, we just talked about, it allows us to reconnect with God and with the people around us. Instead of listening to our desires first, we're putting those away and saying, I'm going to put up with some stuff to be more aware of the world around me and more aware of God spiritually. And the third, almsgiving. It's the same thing, especially for those who struggle with attachment to money. You get charity. You become a more loving person because you're donating something in your life. And it doesn't have to be money per se. If you have lots of clothes that you've been meaning to get rid of and you just can't seem to find the reason to do it, it's the perfect time. I just did it at my house. I have to actually drag those bags out to the clothing deposit. But it's a really good time in Lent to really work on those pieces. Humility brings us mercy towards others because we begin to realize that their plight is the same as ours. That yes, they may be jerks sometimes and grumpy and all of this, but so are we sometimes. And we know in our bad moments that God has forgiven us of our sins, and because of that, we should forgive others. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It was great to see you guys this week. Join us this Sunday at Grubburger for our hangout at 7 o'clock in Montgomeryville. And otherwise, know that I'm praying for you. I will see you at Mass this weekend. God bless and take care.
I locked myself in a hotel room.